Hi, I'm Valerie Patulot.
And I'm Zack, Ladouceur. In this episode of the 25th Hour, we will be looking at dealing with adversity and choosing your own path.
Drinking the water, still sober, about to hit 5 years in a few months.
He's helped me with my career. I've helped him, stay alive.
Do what you have to do, kill me if you have to, but you cannot let me lose that leg.
Running helped me deal with my cancer.
Hey Zack, how many choices do you think we make in a day?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, today we'll be meeting people who made choices that changed the direction of the rest of their lives.
First up is comedian Bobby Knuff. Bobby's choice came when he was hitting rock bottom with his addiction. He decided to bring someone else into his act. That changed his outlook and possibly saved his life.
My name's Bobby Knuff. I've been doing stand-up comedy for about 15, 16 years now.
Drinking the water, still sober, about to hit 5 years in a few months. Yeah, these past few years, what a time to be fully aware. Like, holy.
With anything, I guess, once you start doing it more, the love of it and the passion fades away and you're worried more about money and credits and like, oh, I don't have this festival or I don't have that. And also I was getting kind of dark with my drinking. My jokes were becoming more and more like spiteful rather than like fun and dark. It was just dark. The cocaine started in like 2015, 2016. It started appearing on the stand-up scene a lot more, and just more people being like, hey, you want some of this, you want some of that? And then it just like got out of control really fast. Then it wasn't until like 2018, I was like, I might die. Like, not even just like I was scared of that, my brain was leaning towards like, I want to. And if it happens this way, like an overdose or a drunken tripping onto the subway, or fentanyl was really bad then. Like, deaths were happening. I knew people that were passing away from it, and I was still going out and buying coke. And so it was like this like roll of the dice kind of thing. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I do not want this to be my life. It was like turning into a bad movie. And I was like, these movies don't end well if you don't take a different step. I was at this point where I was going back and forth between like really dark thoughts of like, I want to end it all, and like, well, if I'm going to end it all, let's try things I've always wanted to do. And so I got this puppet made, Andre, and I'd fall into these dark moments. And then I had this like really trippy trip with Andre, like where he was talking to me about like, hey man, you got to clean up your life. Like, you got a lot of good in you. Sorry. Ooh, that hit me right in the, whew. But he's like, there's good stuff in you. And it was me talking to myself, but it was using this like personified version of all the good stuff. That's where the idea for Andre came from. He's this alien from outer space. He has like a childlike wonder with the world. He's not cynical with everything like I was starting to become. And then that kind of helped me write like that. It'd be like, oh, that's Andre, but it's like, oh, that's me.
Spin it around, bam, you got the soul.
Like when people see me, I don't want to be like, oh, Bobby's been drunk. It's like, oh, Bobby's the puppet guy. Like that's, and I think over the past 5 years, that's happened. And it's like, I feel proud of that. And then after just wanting to create him and having his universe, my brain's exploding now with like a bunch of other puppet ideas that I want to create. And like, I have Terry the shellless turtle I'm working on, and Cheese Louise, and all these different weird puppets that I want to make. And it's a lot of fun, and it's also keeping me on the right track of like having these goals I want to finish. Hello, I'm Andre the Alien. I'm from Planet Felt, outer space.
I can't feel physically, but I feel, you know? I got you. But comedy, you know, it cuts through the lies, shows you the truth. And it's just fun, you know? Everybody's got a tough life, and then you laugh it off, and you're like, hey, we can live another day. But, you know, I'd say we're best buds. Yeah. He's helped me with my career. I've helped him, you know, stay alive. I think it's a pretty good trade-off.
Aw, I really love that moment of them together at the end.
I did too. Like, he just seems so genuinely funny. Like, I really want to go see his next show.
Me too. Our next story is also about someone who went through a dark period and found a way to come out stronger.
Emma Donnell was prescribed a medication for a skin infection. She had a rare reaction, and within days, she was fighting for her life.
I went to the hospital to get antibiotics for a skin infection I had on my hip. And then, out of nowhere, I started getting a rash, and that was the start of the SJS-TENS. It first started, my whole body got really red, and then I started developing little dots in my hairline, and then it worked its way down my face into my neck. My face was really swollen, including my eyes and everything. And that's what it was like before I started to develop blisters. When I woke up in emergency, I had developed my first blister underneath my left eye. And then the next day, they sent me into the ICU, and that's when I took out my phone and I saw myself, and I had developed blisters practically everywhere. I think it was probably just under a week after I got put into the ICU, they ended up putting me into a medically induced coma. I had multiple full body infections. I was hypothermic. My lungs hemorrhaged. I had multiple blood transfusions. At one point, like, all of the blood that was in my body just wasn't mine anymore. I went into cardiac arrest. It was a couple minutes that I was down. Throughout the entire process, they treated me like a burn victim to try and manage the scars and manage all of the open wounds. Because my mom took such a long time off of work, they ended up creating a GoFundMe. I'm going to read the second update, which is more when I don't remember a lot because I was in a coma. Since our arrival at CHIO, every day had some sort of challenge. And on the rare day that it was a good day, we nervously sit and wait for the inevitable shoe to drop. Because during the month that we had been here, those good days are rare. As I sit and watch her sleep, I watch her breathing. I look at the monitors and wonder how much more my baby can handle. And I think as much as I needed, and probably more than me, Lucy. So when I first started to wake up, I wasn't able to do anything. I still had my trach in. I wasn't able to speak. I wasn't able to lift my own arm. Even after I got my large motor function back, being able to lift my arms and be able to take steps with a walker, my fingers didn't regain their strength for months after. If physio just didn't exist, I wouldn't have stood up again.
Emma Jane Donnell.
I just want to be able to help people, because without physio, when I was really sick, I probably wouldn't be able to do majority of the things that I'm able to do now. Currently, I'm working as a casual rehab assistant at the General. It's just very exciting to be able to see people get better after an incident.
Emma has come so far. Our next story also sees someone come back despite the long odds against them.
Imagine you're on your way to a haircut, and the next you're being wheeled into a surgery with a 50-50 chance of surviving. Brandon Peacock did survive, but he had to learn to walk again. Since then, he's dedicated his life to making sure others get the same chance at recovery he did.
Being able to, put my story out there with the world and connect with so many different people of different backgrounds who've experienced these different life-altering traumas has been something I'd get shot 20 more times to be able to kind of have that growth that comes from those connections. My name is Brandon Peacock. I run a local charity in Ottawa called Hit the Ground Running, where we raise money for trauma survivors to cover their cost of psychotherapy and physiotherapy and recovery. The goal of Hit the Ground Running is to make as many impacts as I can in the lives of trauma survivors across Canada and hopefully the States as well one day. They told my boy Gavin he would never walk again. So initially when we launched the charity, we primarily used social media for growth. So what we did is we started using my story to market what we were doing, and we were very fortunate to surpass, I want to say, 5 to 10 million views on our TikTok and Instagram accounts within, mostly our TikTok, within probably the first 6 to 8 months of launching the charities. June 2020, car pulled up, opened fire on the barbershop that I was walking into. Guy kind of launched me and the woman who was holding the door open for me into the barbershop, and just as third man in, I took all the bullets. So I got hit 3 times, once in the chest, once in the left knee, and then once in the femoral artery, my right leg. That bullet should have killed me. They gave me about a 50-50 shot going into surgery that night to make it through, and they told my parents that they were pretty confident I was going to lose my right leg. The last words before I went into that life-saving surgery was I looked at my surgeons and I told them, do what you have to do, kill me if you have to, but you cannot let me lose that leg. After I got shot, I was very fortunate to have a best friend who was a physiotherapist, and he decided that as a summer science project, he was going to take me on as a free client. We worked out 5 hours a day, 7 days a week for months.
First steps, let's go.
Initially, I was told that I might not ever walk normally again, but thanks to his help, I got to this point where I was able to run marathons. And I realized pretty quickly that with the right resources and the right team around you, recovery can be so different for trauma survivors. And I'm trying to do my part to give other people the same resources that I had and pay it forward for how lucky I was. 2 weeks ago, I quit my day job, a job that paid me well, had great benefits, allowed me to work from home, and had tremendous work-life balance. I'd rather be working 14-hour days pursuing something I think that is truly more meaningful than just myself. This is not just like a one-year fight, right? We're 3 years in now, and I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. Historically speaking, for example with Gavin, who is the young man who was paralyzed from the waist down after taking a stray bullet, we've been covering his physiotherapy on a monthly basis at a top-tier neuro physio specialist to try to give him the best chance at walking again. So that certainly is, a consistent bill for us.
I want you guys to see what really is possible with what we do and what we've been able to accomplish, and more importantly, you've been able to accomplish.
Gavin is probably the thing that I'm most proud of in this world. Basically, they put him through kind of the basics of rehab, right? But they were just like, this is your new reality. He called me, he's like, this isn't my new reality. I'm gonna walk again. I know I can, I just need the tools to do it. And I was so confident in him, I'm like, whatever it takes, we'll make it happen. I'm very particular with where our money goes and who it goes to, because I want to make sure they have the highest opportunity to recover, not just given their circumstances, right? I'm not handing it out to people who have the easiest pathway to recover, but I want to give it out to the people who are truly going to use the resources we hand out the best. This is our 3rd annual run, running it out of the TD place. We make it a pay what you can fee. The reason we did that is our goal is community building, right? We want to make sure our events are as inclusive as possible so we can best, create a group of long-term supporters to the mission that we're on. I have to remain active. It'll certainly cause problems long term if I sit down and just kind of like live life. For me to be able to manage that long term, I need to be in the best kind of fitness I possibly can be, really just to make sure that I'm able to keep up the adaptations. There's going to be some really bad days in your life, there's going to be some really good days in your life, but the really bad and the really good are usually the ones that you remember. It's the average that you forget, right? And I'd rather have a really bad experience and be able to look back at that in 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, and be like, damn, like that day broke me, but look where I am now.
Just like Brandon, the next person we're going to meet is a runner. Cheryl Kardish-Levitin has been running long distances for more than 4 decades.
When Cheryl was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2000, she chose to keep training despite the radiation's toll on her body. Today, she's a top fundraiser for Ottawa's Run for the Cure.
3, 2, 1.
So my name is Cheryl Kardish-Levitin. I've been a survivor for 22 years, and I've been running the Run for the Cure for 22 years. For me, it's a very important run. It's not a far run, it's not a competitive run, but it's a run to awareness for breast cancer. And the money raised helps go towards finding research for new treatments and adjuvant therapies. Running helped me deal with my cancer. And it was like hitting the wall, but then I got over the wall because I was able to channel my treatments and everything by going out and running. Anybody could run. Absolutely anybody could run. Anybody could train to run a 5, a 10, a 21K. Where I live is a playground for runners. People come from all over. I'm very lucky. From the age of 21 until I was 3.5 months pregnant with my daughter, when I was 30, I ran 20 full marathons. I ran the New York Marathon twice, front and center. The helicopter, it was like center, it was like I was the front of the line. And, as I said, it doesn't matter what kind of cancer you have. When you get that diagnosis, at first you're just wondering, wow, like you're paralyzed with fear, and you're sort of numb because you're processing this. I opted not to have the chemo after talking to my medical team, my oncologist and my surgeon, and I went for the 6 weeks of radiation every day. And the technicians were not too happy with me because every day I would run from my house to the general, because it was not, it was a few K there, a few K back. And they said, you have to run. And I said, yes, because this is my way of coping and dealing with it. And when I was going through my radiation, I'd use my mantras as if I was running a marathon to get through. And that was my way of saying, I'm going to beat this. The running room was doing this Run for the Cure, representing, the Ottawa portion of the run. And so I went in and I thought I'd register, and because the money was going for breast cancer. And I thought, well, I'm undergoing breast cancer, so I'm going to sign up and participate. I only had like 5 days to prepare for, to fundraise, and I raised a few $1,000s in the first 3-4 days. And participating in that 5K run was the most emotional and rewarding run I've ever done. And when I crossed that finish line, I was sobbing. And and that was when I decided that I'm going to give back. This is my race. Over the years, I've either been the top, second, or third top fundraiser consistently. And I pool my funds with the women's team Just Doing It. So every year since I've been involved in our team Just Doing It, we've won the top fundraising award for women's team. The Just Doing It team evolved from my breast cancer dragon boat team, because we're all survivors, and these are all women that are grateful to be able to do it and participate. Very sadly, I can't even count how many women we've lost over the 22 years. What pushes me is that I have a daughter and all these young women that are being diagnosed with aggressive cancer in their 30s and 40s. I'm trying to raise as much money as I can to help now find better treatments so these women have a better quality of life.
I feel very grateful to be able to have raised $350,000 for metastatic cancer. And I'm grateful that I have 22 years and I'm going to continue to do it as much as I can.
Part of being an athlete is pushing yourself. Madoka Suzuki plays hockey for the Carleton Ravens. Since he was little, he's dreamed of being a professional hockey player.
He keeps pushing himself despite 3 different injuries that have taken him off the ice.
Having 3 pretty major injuries, that's been pretty tough. 2 surgeries, you know, it takes a toll on you a little bit. My name is Madoka Suzuki. I'm from Yokohama, Japan, and I'm a forward on the Carleton's men's hockey team. So when I was following my brother's footsteps in Japan, he started playing before me. I think that's when I first, you know, got introduced to the game and at the same time just fallen in love. Being a hockey player is a little strange in Japan. You know, it's kind of like, oh, you play hockey, like, oh, can you stop, can you skate, sort of thing. That's kind of the questions they ask you. So when I got the chance to play in New Jersey, kind of being introduced to the highest level that you can play, that was kind of like the anchor for me to eventually try my luck overseas. Two weeks before our opener, I broke fractured my fibula in my ankle. When it came down to all that, it was best for me to transfer, and luckily with Carleton, everything worked out, so couldn't be more happy.
Of Collins, and he'll hit Suzuki. Suzuki with speed along the right side, makes a move and he scores!
We'll give him go here with Castleman. Puck down low now, shot on goal, scores!
Now we have a breakaway for Suzuki. In all alone, Suzuki scores! Power play goal for Suzuki with 4 seconds left to go.
It was just really exciting for me to be on a winning team, having a winning culture, and being expected to win. It was just kind of a scrum right at the blue line in front of the U-Ottawa bench, and I didn't know that I got cut at the time, and it was when I took my first stride, I knew something was wrong. A lot of stuff go through your head, especially when they tell you it's probably your Achilles and you see kind of blood coming down and, you know, there's blood in your skates. I just remember barely being able to walk and being taped up and everything, and it helped that I was in my skates, so if it was for another sport, I definitely wouldn't have been back when I did come back. But I mean, I guess, yeah, it kind of all worked out at the end. The support staff here is amazing, starting with the therapists and the doctors, and you know, they have a lot of connections around town, and so just expediting the process it's huge from an athlete standpoint. With the school being online, I was able to hop in with Team Japan after too. For them to have trust in me after such a big injury, just watching, you know, film from our games here, that meant a lot to me. Just taking that all in was definitely really cool. That's one of the things that I didn't realize that kind of came with playing for the national team is it's a lot of, even for a team like Team Japan, there's a lot of eyes on you and a lot of people that care. So to be able to experience that firsthand was definitely a good one. If it's kind of gonna be a make or break season for me, it's my 4th year. And you know, my college days are coming to an end, and I really have to take the next step to keep my career going. And I had a really, really good off season with the help of a lot of people. And yeah, I was feeling really, really nice coming into Ottawa and Carleton, so the injury was definitely a setback. My immediate response is, quite frankly, just F-bomb, like no, you know, just please don't be broken, don't be anything serious. And third x-ray is a clear fracture, the bone's not healing. And being told that I need surgery, definitely a dagger, not something you want to hear. it makes you realize that like you're not the center of everything. There's so many people that you can't do anything without all this help around you. For example, just like kids in Japan, they don't have equipment managers, they don't have ice in the morning, they don't have a massive gym that they can use whenever. They don't have doctors, they don't have athletic therapists. So while I can, with the help that I got, it only makes sense for me to just grind, get back, and see where the road takes me.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, like nobody wants to be sidelined like that. Our next story follows a lighter path.
From a vacation in Greece to a store in Hindenburg, and a decision to listen to advice from a neighbor that paid off 30 years later.
He said, "Oh, Brad, we should put your catalog of maps and books online. I'm sure people can buy this." And in fact, yeah, that was the case.
That decision to go online 30 years ago helped keep World of Maps open through the pandemic.
The store is a passion project, started by a couple whose personal motto is on the store's website. Know where you are, know where you're going, and remember where you have been.
People are fascinated by maps because they're symbols. They're symbols of places. So people want maps for information, but they also want them for decoration. They want them to plan, and they want them to look and relive their journeys in the past.
Yes, if you have, please. Thank you.
People love to expand their horizons. So whether it's reading a book, some people can't travel that much for whatever reason, but reading a book takes you on a travel, an imaginary journey. And here's a map of India. So this is where Petra and I met on the trip across Asia, because we came through we met in Greece. At that time, in the late 70s, there was something called the Magic Bus. Kind of a loose sort of group of people that would have a vehicle, and they were driving to India. We drove across Afghanistan, so it came down to Kandahar, and then up to Kabul, and crossed the border into Pakistan, Peshawar, with a local bus. And then we got on the train and took the train across northern India to Lahore, and then across into India. And then we went up to into the foothills of the Himalaya there to a place called Simla. And then found out that actually bicycling is pretty challenging in India. So we kind of put the bikes away and traveled by bus and train. And we traveled together, and well, the rest is history. We've been together ever since. At the end of our journey, we lived in Europe in a houseboat in the Netherlands for 10, 12 years. And wanted to come back to Canada and somewhere, and we chose Ottawa. We had seen a map store in Amsterdam, and there's a famous map store in London, England that we visited, Stanford's. And so those kind of gave us the idea. We started the store in 1994. This was the time of the Capital or the Carleton Freenet. There was not very much activity, but our neighbor was a consultant helping organizations come online, and he said, "Oh, Brad, we should put your catalog of maps and books online. I'm sure people can buy this." And in fact, yeah, that was the case. With COVID, there was no international travel, like no travel at all. There was local travel. People would be, canoeing or locally, but they were not flying anywhere. So all of those travel guidebooks, the Lonely Planets, and there was no sales at all. We had to pivot and offer something else. And fortunately, the sale of books and puzzles and games and other products that we added to our inventory really took off and compensated for the lack of travel. That grew and grew, and we adapted our website, and we tried to have the same sort of look and feel online as in the retail store here. I can't imagine the store without the website, but I can't imagine the website alone. It wouldn't be the same without being able to go into a physical place and see and touch the products and make choices based on that. It's the experience of the store which is really valuable. There's no reason that this can't go on successfully with new owners at some point, and that's what we're working towards. It's 30 years in business next year. Yeah, so we'll have to have some kind of party.
And that brings us to the end of this episode.
Those were some inspiring stories. It's great to look at where everyone's at now.
It really is, and we're really excited to see where they're going in the future. Thank you for watching this edition of the 25th Hour. I'm Zack Ladouceur.
And I'm Valerie Patulot. Take care and have a good one.